Kia ora koutou, Reese from QuickSense here, and today we're looking at congruent triangles. So what we have are two triangles, and the question wants us to determine whether or not they are congruent. Now the way to determine this is, are they the same shape? Are they the same size? And we can do that by looking at some of the following information, right? So we can look at these two, right? We can map those onto each other. And then we have this side here. And because these two are the same, we can also say that this is the same. Now, the only difference between these is that these triangles are mirror images. Now, mirror image triangles are still congruent. They are still the same shape. They can still be mapped onto each other. We can still have some combination, either a translation, a rotation, or reflection, which means that they will be the same shape. Right? So by reflecting, let's call it triangle A onto triangle B, we can make them the same. So are they congruent? Yes, they are. And they are made congruent by reflection. They are made the same by reflection. In this next question, we're given a rhombus, and we're asked how many ways we can cut it up such that we are left with congruent triangles. So we can use a maximum of 2 straight cuts, but we don't need to use 2 straight cuts. So for example, and what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for the lines of symmetry. Right, so if here is a line of symmetry, and here is a line of symmetry. So immediately you can see some triangles in here. If I were to cut from B to D, then I would end up with a triangle here, which is congruent with that triangle there. Right, so that's one way. B, D. And that gives me 2 congruent triangles. And we would call them A, B, D, and B, C, D. Okay, awesome. Well, what about if I cut from A to C? Okay, horizontally. Well, in that instance, right, it's going to get a little bit busy here. Right, we've got those triangles there. So we've got, again, 2 congruent triangles from A, B, C, and A, C, D. But immediately, the one that immediately jumped out is if we do both cuts, right? Because if we do both cuts, now let's use a red color here, right? We get these 4 smaller triangles. Okay, and these are congruent by rotation, right? And by reflection, right? So this one is reflected into here, and it's rotated over to here. Whereas the other two are only reflection. This one here is a rotation and reflection. So 2 cuts, right? So our cuts are at A, C, and B, D. We get 4 congruent triangles, and they are, let's call this middle point O for origin. That's just kind of nice, right? A, B, O, and let's stick with A, D, O. There are 4 triangles. So in how many ways? Well, we can cut it up in 3 different ways to make these different sets of congruent triangles.